Hello, everyone, and welcome to Schmidtless Live. I am excited today because I've got my good friend Rich Bracken here today. He's going to do some coaching with me because I'm the one who needs the majority of the coaching. Plus, he's going to share some of his insights and tips with you about how to stay sane working from home, how to stay focused on your goals. It's been, quite a few interesting months for everybody. So we want to talk a bit about how to stay positive, how to stay future focused in today's episode. Before we get started, I just want to do a quick reminder that we are hiring at Foundry, so you can check out foundrymakes.com/careers. We're looking to add some developers to our team, but if you have interest, go over and take a look there. Quickly, I want to jump over to Rich and just get this party started with him. Rich, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic, Kurt. How are you doing? Happy Friday to you, man.
Happy Friday. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining me today. Rich, tell me a little bit about what you do. What can I expect when I go to richbracken.com? What's the work that you do these days?
Sure. So a lot of things to unpack there because I think they're all going in different directions. So I'm a speaker. I'm a storyteller. I like to use that instead of saying that I'm a motivational speaker, but I'm a keynote storyteller, both in person and virtually. I also do emotional intelligence consultations as well, and I host my own podcast, the Enrich Your Soul podcast. So just very lucky to have the platform that I do and connect with people that I do. And as of this week, I am a 1-year resident of Minneapolis. So,
wow. Look at you.
Right before, I've got two big. I've got the Minneapolis anniversary, and then my birthday is next week. So it's an action-packed 2 weeks.
Wow, you have to get in a few more years, because what Minnesotans are known for is that they wait till the last minute to buy air conditioners and the last minute to buy snow blowers. So once you get into that sort of perspective, then you'll understand what it's like to go to a Home Depot or a Menards or a Lowe's or something like that, trying to find what you're looking for. Well, let's talk about that coaching, Rich. So sure. Personally, the last few months, now that our homes have not only become the places we live, but they become our offices, they've become our barbershops, they've become our restaurants, they're our laundry, obviously, they're places where we're trying to get all of our entertainment and all of our stimuli. But personally, it's really set me back on some of the goals that I've wanted to achieve. And, I think part of it is just, my mind's so filled with all the different things going on, the business that I'm running at Foundry and doing the podcast and doing these other things. But I'm experiencing and talking to a lot of other folks that are struggling with staying focused on their goals during this time. What sort of advice do you have for people that are really kind of getting stuck right now?
Yeah, I totally understand, because I dealt with that the first month or so as well, and I've had a couple of bouts within this time. And I think the one thing that people need to realize is that even though we are now living in what would be considered our own life command center, right? So it's not leaving to go to the office, you're not leaving to go really anywhere. Everything is right there. So it's kind of a self-contained strip mall of life. And what I really encourage people to do, and the one conversation I've been having the most, are two different strategies. Number one, creating boundaries around what's going on, because everything bleeds into everything else now. The video calls in the past that became viral because somebody's kid stepped in are now an everyday occurrence. That is just something that we are now used to. So life is bleeding over into each other. All of the different events are crossing over. And I think the one thing that people need to realize is that you can set boundaries, and it is okay. There was a study that I saw the other day that most workers are now saying that they're working longer hours working from home because they feel obligated to open their laptop to check their phone. They feel like they always have to be on because there's not that line of boundary. So I encourage people to set boundaries and say, hey, look, I'm available from this time to this time. If you need to go for a walk, even if it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes, just say, hey, look, set up your out of office. Just say, hey, I'm going to be gone for the next 15 minutes. If you need something, I'll get back to you as soon as I get back to my desk. But that is your time. And that is your ability to say, I need this, because in setting those boundaries, we really declare our self-care and our self-worth there as well, because we need to take care of ourselves. Because to your point, this is unprecedented. I know it's a cliche word over the last 3 months, but there's no playbook for a pandemic. No. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, moving forward. Things are trending back up, unfortunately, in a lot of areas.
Sure.
So setting those boundaries is really critical, and blocking time. That's the other strategy that I struggled with that off the get-go. And then I reminded myself that that is one of the most important things that I've done prior to the pandemic. So why shouldn't I be able to do it now? And that is saying, hey, look, from 5 to 6, I exercise. From 6 to 6:30, I, spend time planning my day, whatever that looks like. Block those times and stay true to those. Because again, life is going to cross over in all different aspects within your life, in your new life command center. And so make sure that you're setting those boundaries and then blocking time for you and whatever you need to do. If
Right.
Meditation has become a big thing, block time for meditation 3 times a day, even for 5 minutes. It's those kinds of activities that are going to keep your sanity and keep your energy and keep your focus on your goals.
Oh, that's great advice. Yeah, I think one of the things that I struggled with, and I know some of the other professionals that I've been in contact with, is that when you're in the office, you've got a lot of these visual cues of the people around you. Like this is, Bill and Anna are going to the gym right now, and those people are going to get lunch right now. And so you kind of get on this similar schedule with folks because of these visual cues you pick up they're not really super front of mind, right? But you pick up on these things, and then now that we're home, we don't have those visual cues, right? We don't have those things. So what I hear you saying is, we kind of got to replace those by just blocking off the time ourselves, right? And not just waiting for others to sort of dictate our schedule.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And that in that time, what you're doing is you're replenishing yourself, because in this time, I mean, you discussed it earlier, there's so many things impacting our thoughts and our emotions right now, and it's nonstop. I mean, the barrage is coming all the time, and even more so during this pandemic time, because there are so many different stressors that are coming about. And so in that time, yes, I mean, the visual cues, and I nodded my head quite feverishly because I had those as well at the office. But now I'm in my own vacuum of time. I'm in my own activity space, and I don't have those visual cues. And really it's saying, hey, look, I need to do what I need to do to stay on my routine, visual cues or not. Figure out what the things are that you need. If you absolutely need to take a 20-minute break every now and then, if you need to take lunch at a certain time, or if you need to exercise in the middle of the day, again, go back and block that time and say, this is what I need, because those visual cues are not there for you to do. And what happens there is that when we don't have those, we roll from one thing into the next, because we're not disrupted in our thought to say, oh yeah, now's the time that I stop and put my pen down and I go do this, or I go meet with this individual, or I go have lunch, or I go get up and go for a walk like I usually do. You don't have those. So you have to set those intentional reminders. I've got reminders on my phone all the time letting me know, hey, take a break, get up and go walk for 5 minutes, or take 10 minutes and meditate at 2:00. Right. Those kinds of things are really, really good for you and help you replenish your energy and your mindset throughout the day.
That's really smart. Do you find, what's worked best for you personally, Rich? Is it more of these digital sort of boundaries, like you're adding, you're blocking off your calendar, or is it more analog where you're putting things? What have you found success in using?
As many digital tools as there are out there, there's no reason to not use them, right? I mean, if there's literally an app for everything. I found one the other day that helped me figure out what plants the previous owner of this house planted by just taking a picture of it. So if I can do that,
nice.
then I don't have any excuse to not block my time and remind myself of things. So I set personal reminders and timers on my phone. On my work calendar, I will say, I've got a project block. For these 2 hours, I need to be uninterrupted because I need to be able to focus on things. And I think that is the one thing that people have crossed over quite a bit as well in this new work from home mentality, is that at work, we're used to having the ability to shut our door and have some privacy. And there was that professional recognition that, oh, his door is shut, I shouldn't bother him. And now, I've got a 4 and a 7-year-old. They don't care if my door's shut or not.
No.
They're going to come see me whether I like it or not. Yeah. So professionally, I set those blocks of time knowing, okay, if I need an hour and a half, I'm going to block 2 hours because there's probably going to be some sort of a natural interruption. But in that time, I also say, okay, from 1 to 3, I have my out of office on. So that way I'm not keeping an eye on my email all the time, and I'm not looking at my phone for text messages. I can focus in on the things that I need to focus in on. I also, and I'll forget the name of the term. There's a clever term, because there's a clever term for everything now. But it's a mentality of the 20 to 25 minute sprint blocks of time. So if you say, okay, for the next 20 minutes, all I'm going to do is think about this project or this proposal or this, this website. I'm going to work on this for 20 minutes, hardcore, nonstop, totally focused. And then I'm going to take a break for 5 minutes. And then, whatever you need to do. If you need to get back into it for 20 minutes, that energy boost is really critical. I mean, that really helps you stay focused. But it's saying, hey, look, this is my time. And this is my time to be focused, and this needs to be uninterrupted. And by saying, "Hey, look, everybody, I need this time to do this." I've not had one piece of pushback at all, saying, "Well, how dare you, take private time to work on a project, or how dare you be focused, or how dare you not be available for 30 or 45 minutes because you're working on something that has been on your plate for a while."
Right.
It's not happened, but it's up to you to, like I said, intentionally set those times on your calendar, and then set the reminders and timers on your phone when you need to.
Well, let's shift gears for a second. So we've been talking about working from home, but let's say I've been furloughed or I've been laid off, and right now I'm chasing after that next job. What's your suggestions for how I'm structuring my day when my day isn't structured anymore in a way that helps me feel productive, but also is trying to get me closer to my goals? Do I need to apply those same tactics? What's your advice there?
Absolutely. And the tactics are going to be different, but the strategy is going to be the same. And I had in a previous role been laid off due to some corporate restructuring. So I know what that feeling feels like. And first of all, let me say, to those that have been furloughed or have been laid off, I deeply feel I know how you feel. And first of all, it's a mental struggle. You need to take some time to yourself to say, hey, look, this isn't because of anything that I did. This isn't because I'm not worthy and I'm not valuable. This is a financial decision that was made. And I just happen to be part of the decision that was made. It's nothing against you personally. So using that as a stepping stone into productivity is the most important part. It's like a relationship. I mean, if you end a relationship, you've got to get over that relationship, and you got to move past the subjective pain of it to be productive moving forward and to be a good partner moving forward. Same thing with jobs. So if you go into your day saying, well, I guess I'm going to look for jobs, and you go on LinkedIn and you get down the rabbit hole of job searching and networking and reading articles and doing those things, you're probably not going to be very productive or focused in what you're doing. Right. So to say, I'm going to get on LinkedIn, and for the next 20 minutes, all I'm going to do is look at jobs that are specific to what I really want to do. And that is a really good opportunity for you to focus on that. Okay, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to read my feed and see what's going on. See if any of my colleagues or anybody in my network knows anybody that's hiring. I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes working on some outreach. I'm going to have some very deliberate outreach. And then, also add in some skills training. That is a really thing. LinkedIn has some great skills training on there now, and there's skills training everywhere. But specifically, if you're going to stay there, tons of things you can go learn. And this may be serendipitous for you. This may be a situation where maybe you haven't been 100% happy, and maybe you are looking at a career change or a job change or some sort of a different industry. Now may be a really good time to explore that. And maybe sit down and understand what your gaps of knowledge are, or your gaps of focus, or maybe there's something you need to strengthen. Or maybe you just want to go work at the Foundry. It's a phenomenal place, and I think you should go work there. I think if you're a developer, you should apply to it.
You should. Thank you, Rich, for the plug. I appreciate that.
But I think if you go into it and saying, for 15 minutes I'm going to do this, and for 15 minutes I'm going to do this, and for 15 minutes I'm going to do this, that alleviates the problem of saying, well, I'm going to get up and make a cup of coffee and sit in my PJs and scroll through LinkedIn for hours. It makes it more productive. And set a goal. I want to apply for 4 jobs today. Find 4 jobs to apply for and be deliberate about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think to your point, I think that's where it takes a little bit of time to get back to being that intentional or that deliberate, especially once you get a blow like that. Because, and I've talked about it before, Rich, is that, that feeling of being out of work, even though maybe 20% of the other people on your at your company got laid off, it still feels so crushingly lonely, and you feel like you've been singled out and all those things, and it's hard it's hard to get over yourself, to
It
be
is.
honest.
It is. And you know, in the department that I was in previously, there were 15 of us in the department, and due to that the financial restructuring of the company, they got rid of 13 out of the 15 people. But even in that statistic, I'm not ashamed to say that I probably listened to a hell of a lot of Celine Dion at the time, but I was in my own headspace. Like, what did I do? And I was crushing it for the company. I was absolutely destroying my goals. And when it literally was a tenure thing. I
Mhm.
wasn't there as long as some of the other people,
Yeah.
and that was literally the only reason. But I was so caught up in my own mental space of saying, well, what did I do, and what's wrong with me, and maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, and
Right.
this massive imposter syndrome sets in, and it prohibits you from moving forward.
Hmm.
And so in that is where you really can make the biggest jump into productivity, is understanding that, hey, it's not about you. This is an unprecedented, again, to use that word, unprecedented, pivot in
Yeah.
business and in industries and the economy. And so this was probably 99% of the time, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but 99% of the time, it was truly objectively a financial decision, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all it
You're on a
was.
list, and there was a number attached to you, and that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So to your point about that kind of growing and learning, because I have talked to a number of people that I've been doing coaching with, which is exactly what you're talking about. Like, maybe this is an opportunity to look at moving to a different industry or a different role within the same industry, or all these, all and above. Do you suggest applying that same sort of rigor to that learning as you are to that networking as well? Because I see where people, and you see it all the time in the analytics for these things at Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn, where people are pretty engaged for about 80% at the beginning of these things, but towards the end it comes down to, like, 20% of the people are sticking around. So
Right.
do you think it's about being that intentionality, and that being that deliberate about it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think I forget the statistic, but I think we now have the attention span of goldfish. And so, yeah, I mean, you have to be very disciplined, and you have to be very rigorous about what you're doing. And so, a couple of different things there. One, if you're looking at new jobs, or you're looking at a new industry or a new job title, look at the job description and look at the skills that they're looking for, and be very honest with yourself. Look at that list of qualifications and skills that they're looking for. Do you have all of those? And at what level do you have them? And so if there's something on there that you're like, oh, I wish I could do more of that, I promise you there's some sort of an online course in learning more about whatever that skill is that you have a gap. So understanding where your skill gaps are, being very, very honest with yourself, because you're the best, most knowledgeable expert about yourself and your skill set. Understanding what you need to be focusing on, and then again dedicating that time, and put it on your calendar. Like, I can't stress enough how important it is that if you put it on your calendar and you say, for this hour I'm going to study UX design, and this is where I'm going to go use my resource, instead of
Hmm.
using that hour to go piddle around and try to find a resource. Find it ahead of time, put that link in the calendar reminder, and then say, hey, from 1 to 2, this is all I'm doing,
Yeah.
because I want that job, and I want to be really prepared for it. And it may be something that you learn a new skill, or you find a new strength that you're like, hey, I didn't realize I liked this so much.
Yeah, one of the things with that too is, so there's that learning piece, but the other thing I think people have struggled with is the virtual networking side of things as well, right? So before, in the before times, we used to go to meetup groups, and we used to go to these other things, and even those people are not good at networking. They're also very awkward and weird when it comes to those things. If I feel awkward and weird already going to meetup groups and things, like, how can I improve my virtual networking skills? Rich, what are some of your suggestions on that?
Honestly, as I think the word is ambivert. So I'm an extrovert, but I'm also an introvert in a lot of sense. And so the idea of networking events, I know that they're a necessary thing to do, but I'm not a huge fan of them in person. Now, this pivot to virtual networking and virtual connection is actually better for introverts or people that don't like networking events, because you could be more intentional and direct about it, because you're not walking in and putting on your name tag and grabbing your obligatory cocktail that you're going to let get watered down, and you wander around looking for somebody that's going to make eye contact and doesn't
Wait,
feel
those
creepy.
cocktails are watered down?
Right, exactly. And you're not going to get pinned in the corner by the person that wants to tell you about the 27 businesses they started up last week. It's nice because you can be very, very intentional and very deliberate about what you're doing. And what I highly recommend is that if there's somebody that you want to get to know or that you want to network with or that you want to learn more from, reach out to them. Because I think there are a couple of different things. One, we all like to feel wanted. And so if somebody contacts me and says, hey, I read your article or I heard your podcast, I had somebody reach out the other day and said, listen to your podcast, loved it, would love to talk to you about goal setting because it was really impactful to me and it helped me realize some of the things I was doing wrong. And I have no idea who this person is, but the fact that they reached out for my insights on something, I wanted to help. I wanted to do what I could to serve them.
Yeah.
And so when you reach out to those people intentionally with a very intentional message, because again, like I can't tell you how many times I've been spammed on LinkedIn in the last 3 months. I mean, it's absurd. Yeah. It was bad. Again, it was bad before in 2019 BC before COVID, and it's even gotten worse now. So when you reach out to somebody, if you can in-mail them or if you want to email them directly through a website email address that you find, be very thoughtful about what you're saying. Find something that you have in common. Find something that they are maybe an expert in that you want to know more about. Or if you just want to ask them a question about something, be very intentional about it and be very understanding and patient too. Because again, like we're all being tossed around in this whitewater rapid of pandemic response.
Yeah.
And so they may not get right back to you, but that's not because they don't want to. It's just maybe because they just can't.
Yeah.
And so reach out to them and be very intentional. Do something to offer to them as well, because the world is full of takers. And if you're a giver or a supporter, that's going to go a lot further and be a lot more differentiated, unfortunately. That's just kind of the nature of what's going on. Like people want to take. But if you say, hey, I would love to find out how I can support your business or how I can support this goal that I saw you guys were working on, or I read this article about a growth initiative that you have going on, would love to hear more about it and do what I can do to find resources for you or support it in any way. Just those types of languages within that communication are going to go a long way, as opposed to, hey, I want you to help me find a job, or I want you to hire me at your company. Find something that you can do to support that person as well.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I see and drives me crazy, I'm sure it drives you crazy, is you got to be, like you said, be very intentional and choose your words wisely, right? Because, I've seen people be like, I want to pick your brain, I want to bend your ear, all these things. Those things are, to your point, why?
Right. And first of all, who came up with that phrase? Like when I hear pick your brain, I think of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Like pick your brain is just a bad phrase in the first place. Like we have to have another conversation around the cliche phrases that we need to get rid of. Of course, I skipped into unprecedented earlier, but if I hear low hanging fruit or circle back, we need to make a coffee table book, and that's our $1 million idea of the things that we should get rid of. But yeah, everybody wants to pick brains and wants to borrow time and do these things, but you're taking. Again, you're taking. But if you could say, hey, I want to ask some questions, I want to learn more about your business, learn more about your goals, and do what I can do, because we all have networks. And that's the one thing about client service or networking, that if you reach out and say, what can I do to support you? Even if there's nothing that they think you can do, they're going to appreciate that approach more than, hey, can I pick your brain because I have nothing better to say?
Right. And so to that point, it is, that's where, I feel like it's easier to do that message virtually than it is walking up to somebody, which just might be kind of creepy at an event to be like, hey, how can I support you? It's like, who are you?
Right. Because you wouldn't walk up to somebody at a networking event and say, hey, excuse me, can I pick your brain real quick? Like, no, that's just weird. Don't do that. But again, LinkedIn's a perfect opportunity, and social media is a perfect opportunity to learn something about the person before you reach out.
Right.
And chances are, I always call it the Kevin Bacon effect of social media. Chances are there's either somebody that you know that knows the person, or there's something that you have in common, or maybe it's they went to a certain school that. I wrote to a guy one time and I said, hey, look, the only thing I know about you is that you went to this college and they used to stomp the crud out of my college in football. And so, at best, I want to just do what I can do to heal the wounds. And he thought it was hilarious. And, we struck up a conversation. So again, there's tons of personal ways to get involved. But number one, don't copy and paste an email into a whole bunch of things. I've had that happen too. which this person unfortunately found me on a witty day, and they had copied and pasted their template where it said fill in name. And I was like, my name's not Philin, and that's not my name.
That's not your
So
name.
this is not going anywhere. But let's talk about what you could do better next time.
That's great. Well, the last thing I kind of want to touch on, Rich, is the idea, back to your idea of goal setting and how important that is for people. Now, there's all these different frameworks out there for this, right? There's this, doing SMART goals, and there's then, well, first I need to start with StrengthsFinder or Myers-Briggs to figure out what my goals should even be, and all those different things. Right. There's all these ways, and we get inundated by these things on social media and all these different things, especially when you start searching for it. The ads and things that come up, don't even get me started, for the self-help, sort of stuff that comes up. But sure, all that stuff, there might be things that are easy and good for you there. You can awaken the giant within, as it were. But, where do you suggest people start, Rich, before they start going down these roads of these frameworks and things? Where's a good place if I have some goals, but I don't really understand them and I don't know how to communicate them? What's your tips there?
Sure. And this will be the most hallmark thing that's probably ever said on your show, but start here and start here. I mean, honestly, start in your mind and start in your heart. Because again, like you can go down the rabbit hole of tests and exams and all of these different things. I mean, if you want to go find out what Disney princess you are to try to figure out what your goals are, you could probably do that. But the most important thing is that if your goals don't excite you and if they don't challenge you and they don't make you want to grow, then I don't care what test you take, and I don't care what focus group you go sit in, and I don't care what Myers-Briggs, anagram letters you are. It doesn't matter, because the goals that I've achieved and goals that I've helped others achieve all start from what is most important to you, because all of those other things are meant to tell you what you should do. You're the only one that really knows what you want to do and what is most important to you. And so if you can't get up every single day and understand that the goal that you've set is the most important thing to you, and that is on days that you don't want to do it, in days that you don't feel like it, in days that you're out of energy, in days that you don't have focus, it is so critical to set those goals, because I can sit down and take Myers-Briggs all day long, but if it tells me, hey, look, you really should go get better at Excel, am I going to be really jazzed about that? No, I'm not going to be excited about that. But when I say, I want to speak at a corporate meeting for 10 large corporations in the next 2 years, that's a really exciting goal for me. Or I want to redesign my website because I want it to look like this website and this website because I really admire these individuals. Those are really good goals that drive me passionately. And that's what I want to accomplish. And so people that will, and make sure that the goals are yours. Because I think also because of social media especially, we start chasing other people's goals. Oh,
keeping up with the Joneses, as it were.
Exactly. I saw so-and-so that, they're selling 6 figures every month and they're doing this and they're driving this car. Who cares? If that's not what really in your heart is going to make you happy at the end of the day, who cares? And so if you can get up and understand that your goals are yours, they're going to be goals that are going to excite you and motivate you every single day. And that are at the end of the day, when you accomplish them, there's going to be a joy associated with that money can't buy. Those are the most important goals.
So let me take a little frontage road here.
Sure.
One of the things that I've talked about with folks, though, is developing goals. Sure, I could say, and again, let's be clear about what type of goals we're talking about, right? There's winning the lottery type goals, and becoming a famous movie star type goals. But, so like you had mentioned, like maybe I want to become a professional speaker and I want to be on a circuit or something, or maybe I want to be in charge of a design team. I want to run a design team and things. But what I see people challenged with is because they're not in that space, they don't either sometimes they don't feel deserving of those goals. So why should they make those their goals? Because they're not those people. and so it's hard to imagine yourself in that new reality because you either don't have the experience and don't have, and nobody's told you you should be. I could go on and on for all the things that either are going on inside of your head or with other people that are telling you that these goals are not achievable. What do you say to that? What's your advice there when I get stuck like that?
First of all, that is your internal imposter that's talking to you. And you can, I mean, again, very hallmark of me, but you can really be whatever you want to be when you set your mind to it. And, I'll use a personal example. I used to be a very heavy child. I was a real thin kid, became very heavy, was, 260 pounds, played college football, but was big after I got done playing college football. I never saw myself as somebody who was fit or healthy or thin. I could not imagine that of myself. So when I started when I decided that I needed to lose weight, I never saw myself as somebody that, like, I was the kid that wore a t-shirt in the pool because I felt like people wouldn't see me as fat because I had a t-shirt on.
Sure.
I was so self-conscious of that. And mentally, I never, ever thought I would ever be that fit, healthy person. And 100 pounds and 23 years later, here I am still having the weight off. But I told myself at one point, you know what? I can be that person and I will be that person. And that's just a personal health example, but it's the same thing for professional status as well, or business. If you right now are in accounting and you say, you know what, I want to have the best bakery in Minneapolis, why couldn't you? What's stopping you? And so what I love the phrase reverse engineering your dream. Mm-hmm. And so if you say, okay, I want to be the best baker in Minneapolis, what does that take? Walk it backwards. That takes me establishing myself credibly in the city. What does that take? Okay, I got to do this. And when you walk it back and you map it out backwards and say, okay, what do I need to do to go from point A to point Z to achieve that goal? Understand all those things. And when you map that out, if you look at it and say, yeah, that's doable because it's in smaller portions, it's in smaller steps as opposed to, wow, how am I going to walk out of this accounting firm and then open up a bakery that everybody's going to want my cakes? That's really daunting. But if you say, I need to buy some supplies, I need to set up a website, I need to come up with a couple of recipes, I need to do these little things. Start small.
Yeah.
I love big goals. I'm a big goal person all day long, but I'm also very, very cognizant of the fact that little goals make those big goals more achievable.
Well, and there's a famous quote that's you can't predict the future, but you can create the future, right?
Exactly. I mean, and honestly, like, go back to January or February. Who thought we would be in this position? And I know several people that have completely pivoted their business or completely pivoted their career path because of opportunities that have come up since the pandemic. So again, like, it's up to you. And when you can get out of your own headspace and you can get out of the headspace of letting other people tell you what you can and can't do, and you quit worrying about what you see on social media, and you understand at the end of the day, hey, look, I have one life and I have one journey on this earth. I need to make the most of it. Are you going to sit back and let nobody on their dying bed is like, wow, I'm really glad I played it safe and didn't do the things I really wanted to do? Or are you going to say, you know what, I took a great swing at it and I chased my dream and I either achieved it or I gave it my best, but hey, I can die happy knowing that I did. Those are the most important moments. Those are the most important feelings that you need to have. And so if you can't understand that it's up to you and that you can do whatever you want, once you understand those things, you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
You're absolutely unstoppable.
That's great, Rich. I really appreciate the way that you look at the world, and I appreciate your advice. And thank you for the free coaching today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, anytime, man. Anytime, broadcast or not, I'm here to support you, whatever. Kurt.
I appreciate that, Rich. So, Rich, if I want to learn more about the work that you do, and if I want to learn more about the coaching you do, I mean, where's a good place to go, and how should I connect with you?
Sure. My hub of everything is richbracken.com. You can find videos of me. I also do some work on television. So there's some video clips of some of my television work. All my keynote presentations are on there, all my social media connections, and also my podcast, the Enrich Your Soul podcast. So you can find everything at richbracken.com.
Cool. Well, Rich, I want to thank you again. I always enjoy our conversations. I always learn so much, and I do suggest everybody go and check out Rich's podcast and his website because it's there's a lot of really cool resources there. And so, thank you for the work you do, Rich. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for doing what you do, Kurt, because that was one of the first things I learned when I got to the cities was I had to know you and I had to learn more from you. So, hey, I'm very grateful for you as well.
I appreciate that, Rich. Okay, so for everybody, we're going to end the show now. But if you have comments or questions, again, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll have links to all of Rich's stuff in there as well. And if you're like I said, if you're interested in learning more about the stuff that Rich is doing, check out richbracken.com. And again, yeah, we're hiring at Foundry, so check out foundrymakes.com because we'd love to have you join our team. So thanks everybody. Have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us today.